So you've nailed part one, but let's be real. The MRCP part two is a whole different ballgame. It's a marathon, for sure. But the good news? There's a solid game plan to not just get through it, but to actually pass it on your first go. And in this breakdown, we're going to walk through that exact strategy.
Okay, first off, a massive congratulations on passing part one. Seriously, take a beat and let that sink in. It's a huge deal. But now, that big question is probably hanging in the air. Okay, what's next? If you're wondering how to even start thinking about part two, you've come to the right place.
We're going to cover the whole shebang: the right mindset, the absolute best resources, and a day-by-day schedule you can actually stick to. Look, the goal here is simple: to make sure you only have to go through this whole process once.
Every good plan starts with knowing what you're up against, right? So before we dive into strategy, let's get super clear on the challenge itself. What exactly is the MRCP Part 2 exam?
You know, this quote from Dr. Yed just hits the nail on the head. It really sets the perfect tone. Yes, these exams are tough, no doubt about it, but they are not some impossible mountain. It's a challenge that is absolutely 100% doable if you have the right preparation and the right mindset. So let's break this beast down. We're talking about a 7-hour day, 2 papers, 100 questions each. But here's where it gets tricky and where it's different from part one. The questions are way longer, and they're loaded with visuals, ECGs, X-rays, you name it. This isn't just about memorizing facts anymore. It's all about clinical application in the big specialties like cardio and endo. Okay, so we know what the exam looks like. Now let's start building your personal game plan. And it all boils down to 2 things to start: your timeline and your mindset. So the first thing you've got to decide is your timeline, and it really just depends on your life right now. The standard 4 to 6 month route is perfect if you're juggling a crazy full-time schedule. But if you know you can be disciplined and carve out some dedicated time each day, a 3-month intensive sprint is totally feasible. And for our purposes here, we're going to zero in on that intense 3-month time. So what does this 3-month plan really take? Well, you've got to treat 2 to 3 hours a day as completely non-negotiable. That's your baseline. But, and this is key, the real magic, the real progress happens in those last few weeks. That's when you got to crank it up to 5, maybe even 6 hours a day to really cement that knowledge and build the stamina you need for exam day. And this right here, this is the mindset you need to adopt. For 3 months, the exam just has to become part of your life. Look, this isn't about magically finding a 4-hour study block every day. Who has time for that, right? It's about micro-studying. Got 20 minutes on the bus? That's 10 questions. Waiting in line for coffee? Knock out 5 more. Trust me, these little pockets of time are your secret weapon. They really add up. Okay, so you've got your schedule mapped out. Now you need your arsenal, your toolkit. These aren't just any websites or books. These are the specific weapons you're going to use to tackle this exam.
Now listen up, because this is important. The trick isn't to find one holy grail resource. It's about using the right tool for the right job. So, for your main question bank, you're going to use PASS-TEST. The questions are sharp, concise, and they feel a lot like the real exam. And here's a pro tip. Don't just read the explanation on PASS-TEST. Dive into the comments section. Seriously, that's where the gold is. Then, for your high-yield concepts, use the Past Medicine Online textbook. Your notes from part one even carry over, which is great. And if you're a visual learner, the MRCP Updates textbook is just fantastic. It's all about a targeted approach.
All right, mindset? Check. Resources? Check. Now it's all about execution. So let's walk through a super clear step-by-step strategy for these next 3 months. The engine of this whole plan is what we're going to call the 2-pass strategy. Here's how it works. Pass 1 is your first 2 months. You're doing about 100 questions a day, going through system by system, and you're reading the textbook topics as you go. Then Pass 2 is the final month. You're doubling the volume to 200 questions a day, but, and this is absolutely crucial, they are completely random. Then the final 1 to 2 weeks are all about timed full-length mock exams. Okay, I really need you to hear this. That second pass, the one with the random questions, that is without a doubt the single most important part of this whole strategy. Why? Think about it. Studying by specialty is kind of like having training wheels on. You know what to expect. But the real exam throws everything at you all at once. Practicing with random questions trains your brain for that pattern recognition under pressure, and that is the skill that's going to get you through exam day. So what does that final dress rehearsal look like?
Well, you're aiming for about 10 recent past papers. The recommendation from our source is 5 from past test and 5 from MRCP updates. And then you've got the final boss, the official mock exam from the MRCP website itself. This isn't just about practice. This is how you build the mental and physical stamina to walk into that exam room feeling like you own it. Look, we've gone over the strategy, the tools, the schedule. We've covered all the X's and O's. But the biggest factor in all of this? It's you. So let's wrap this up with a final pep talk, because your mindset over these next few months, well, it's everything.
I want to just pause on this for a second because this is so important. This whole process is incredibly demanding. You're doing this on top of a job that's already stressful. So it is 100% okay to admit that it's hard. So when you feel overwhelmed, and trust me, you will, that's not you failing. That's a sign that you're actually pushing your limits. And that is exactly what this takes.
And when those tough days hit, I want you to come back to this and remember who you are. You got into and passed medical school. You have worked shifts that would break most people. And you've already passed MRCP Part 1, an exam that has a lower pass rate than this one. Let me say that again, because it's a big deal. The pass rate for Part 2 is higher than Part 1. The odds are literally in your favor now. You are more than capable. So here's the bottom line. You gotta trust yourself. Trust the grit that got you to this point. You've made it this far for a reason. Just brave through this final stretch like you've braved everything else. And that certificate will be yours. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. Forget the whole 3-month mountain for just a second. What is the one small, manageable step you can take today? Maybe it's just buying the question bank. Maybe it's blocking out 1 hour in your calendar for tomorrow. Or maybe it's just doing 10 questions on your phone right now. What's that first step going to be?